Good morning and welcome back. My name is Marvin Kane and I am your host with Love is Not Judgmental. And we're glad that you're here with us. We really enjoy these discussions. It's a beautiful, bright, sunny Friday morning in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, which is where we are. But we want to offer you another exciting episode of Relationship Real Talk. Relationship Real Talk. And I'm here to really help you to dive in to this discussion. And we want to be a little unfiltered today, meaning we want to tell the explicable truth on the subject of why more men vow never to marry. And there's really strong reasons for that, very emotional, especially when men tend to blame emotions on women. That really sounds like a very emotional statement. So we're going to get into it. But before we do, if this is the first time that you're joining us, please subscribe, hit the subscribe button, like, share, help us grow our channel. We've got a lot of really interesting content, very engaging, very intriguing that we've provided. And we just want the world to know we're not here with all the answers. We're just your guides on this humble road to just make some new discoveries. So, in regard to the topic, why more men vow to never marry? It's a sensitive topic. And we're going to get into this, but just remember every morning at 7:30 a.m. we have our YouTube lives. YouTube lives. But the first phase of this that makes it difficult for men is the cheating epidemic. It's a lot of cheating. When I was a child, it wasn't unheard of, but it wasn't popular that women would cheat on men. It was common that men would cheat. In fact, in some religious groups, men have multiple wives, but they have to be evenly yoked. In other words, in order to have multiple wives, you have to be able to take care of each one of those wives equally as you took care of the prior wife. And then as you add more wives on, you've got to be able to take them. But a lot of people don't even abide by that. Today, it's like there's no such thing as rules. It's just about greed. So cheating, it's a problem that really plagues relationships because even with the best of intentions, a man and a woman will enter a relationship, they'll get married, and the hope is never to do that. And it's not even something that you dwell on. So when it does happen, it just kind of sneaks up on you like, what? You're shocked, you're surprised because you never thought this person that you have made this vow to love forever till death do you part. You never thought this person would betray you in this way. And so when it happens, it hurts. It's not just sex, it's a splitting of a life in half and dividing it. And then it's not just about those two, it also affects families. And if you have children, it greatly affects the children. So it's time to address this and how it affects both men and women. Cheating is never okay. Never. We just did a whole YouTube live on this. It's never okay. But we'll explore into some little intricacies that some people find themselves in situations where they just need to learn how to say no. You need to stand up. You always get that gumption, that feeling before something wrong is about to happen to just go forward and do the right thing. We all have this. This is a part of us. This is called our conscience. Our conscience comes up and says, listen, this is not the right thing to do now or ever. And we need to listen to that voice. We need to listen to all those positive things that have been given to us throughout our years of growth and development. And if we've made these mistakes in the past, just remember those are the things of the past. Let's move forward today. And as we talk about age gap relationships on this channel often, we want to put it in a way that, sometimes, like I say this often, I say men don't generally marry a woman just for sex. They're not going to marry her for sex. A man might become interested in a woman for sex, but if he really wants sex, he wants sex with a more experienced woman. So, in the age gap relationship realm, there are situations where men do opt out. They opt out of the relationship. And they do so because they're not getting the experience that they wanted to have with this younger woman. But then some men, they opt in. And it's not about the sex, it's about the emotional connection that they're able to have with a younger woman. But there are varying views as to the impact that cheating has on a spouse, a mate. And the bottom line is that it hurts. It's a dynamic that just creates more challenges. You can't make something good out of doing something bad. That's just a philosophy and a life truth. You just can't do it. So to leave one relationship to go into another relationship, all it does is create hurt and betrayal. You lose your trust, you lose your reputation, you lose the good that you've done, you lose your community. People, even the ones that encourage you, oh man, she's bad, you ought to check her out, they leave you. There's no loyalty when you cheat. No loyalty among thieves, as the expression goes. There's no loyalty among cheaters. And then as your life in that cheating mode constantly change and upgrades or downgrades, as long as it's going in either direction, you're going to feel different at those different episodes. So maybe you're separated from your spouse. Well, if you still engage in a sexual relationship with another person, that's still considered cheating. But guess what happens when you're now legal and you've got the freedom to remarry and you're with someone? That mindset, it changes. Now you look at the person less because you're whole. See, that person was with you, and now you're completely free, and they're going to look at you as less of a person. It's just what happens. I don't make this stuff up. But like I said, I've interviewed thousands of people on these subjects about relationships and age gap relationships and the challenges that come into it. But included with the betrayal, it creates not only a lack of trust, but it's also a breakdown in self esteem. And it also can even affect a person's health. There have been some people who've lost their mind because their spouse left them for another woman. And it's even worse if it's a man who doesn't leave for another woman but leaves for another man. It creates an array of questions. And then if it's a woman who doesn't leave for another man but she leaves for another woman, it creates an array of questions, and the self-esteem levels just go way down. But it's because of these type of things, situations that are ongoing, from the mindset of a man who's been betrayed by a woman who left him for another woman or just cheated, period. It just weakens the value of marriage. But I'm here to tell you, listen, marriage is what it is. It's a God given arrangement. It's not like making a new car and then you don't like this brand, you go get a new car, but everything's okay because it's a car and it's transportation. No, marriage is an arrangement by God to procreate earth. It's an arrangement by God to allow those procreators to have a sense of enjoyment and pleasure amongst each other. It's not recreational. It's not a game. It's not something that you play with. It's not something you experiment with. It's a serious thing because life is serious. And if people choose not to procreate, they still have the benefits of being together in a partnership where they are able to support one another. There are a lot of great benefits that come out of marriage. So to say for men, while they vow never to get married, that's just emotional, like we talked about at the top of the show. It's just emotions. They're just wreaking emotions because they're hurt. They're hurt. Now, there's a myth of innocence that some people just always say, well, if a person cheats, there's an innocent party. Well, we talked the other day that no, the other party is not wholly innocent. Their hands are not completely clean because you contributed to the person leaning in that direction, maybe yelling, screaming. Men, listen, women, men do not like to be yelled at. Even if the man is a yeller, you want to keep that man, don't yell back at him. Teach him not to yell at you. He shouldn't be yelling at you anyway. But in those type of relationships, it just causes a person to look at another person completely differently. And that difference, that look, it's not designed to make anybody happy. So that adds another level of complexities when you dealing with, the innocent idea. I'm innocent. I didn't do anything. Yeah, you contributed, but you need to back up. And that's why people, I'm not an advocate of divorce. I'm really not, even though I've been divorced twice. I didn't initiate, I just agreed. thank God. I'm glad to be free. But the point that I'm making is I'm not an advocate of divorce because I think people should come to the point where put the family on the side, put the friends on the other side, and just make a focus of you and your spouse. You two need to have the deep conversation because everybody's guilty. Everybody's guilty. There's something that you, as the innocent person, contributed that caused this person to leave. Maybe it was a lack of affection. Maybe it was a lack of listening. Maybe it was a lack of concern. It was a lack of something. Because if everything was 100%, they would have never cheated. If everything was perfect, they would never cheated because it's perfect. They wouldn't have cheated, but they cheated because it wasn't perfect. So the myth of innocence, we'll just throw that, we'll just, throw that out the window. It's not important. But there is a path to improvement, like we just said. You got to strive to be a better partner, not just a better person, but you got to strive to be a better partner. And that's where men need to put the focus. Instead of making a vow to never, never, never marry, see, that's a quitter's mindset. And remember, quitters never win. You got to vow to be better. So you do your part. Sometimes people worry so much about my spouse needs to do this, my spouse needs to do that. Well, what about you? What do you need to do, Mr. and Mrs. Spouse? You need to do some things too. You need to learn to laugh louder, learn to build more, learn to hug longer, learn to kiss better. You just need to learn to make improvements and realize that the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. So you're welcome to come in anytime you choose. So this goes for men and women. You just can't be judgmental on an issue and kind of make yourself look like the better person and make the other person look like the worst, because whenever you do that, you're really dividing yourself, because inside of you, you always know the truth. And you're just playing this mystery game with your friends and family. But the truth is always the truth. The truth never changes. So those excuses for cheating that people sometimes come up with, every last one of them is inexcusable. And I really have no empathy for a cheater, because a cheater is someone who just gave up. They didn't put up the fight. See, once you put up the fight, on the other side of the fight is the joy that you've been looking for. On the other side of that fight is the power that you want to regain into your own life to help you to make better decisions. But if you just quit and you give in, you never reach that point. See, life tests us all the time. And the beauty about being tested is that testing makes us greater. So if you find excuses, you find reasons to cheat, well, you just really found a reason to describe why you are such the failure that you are in life. Yeah, you could be a billionaire, but if you can't keep your relationship straight, you fail. Now, this is in the ideal set of circumstances that we've been talking about. But what if you have a partner that just doesn't want to communicate with you at all? You've got to remember one thing: you can never control another person. Loyalty is always the key. You want to be loyal to yourself first. And regardless of what other people do, you want to stay whole. You want to stay the type of person that is always building to be better. Because in the long run, those individuals that cheat, they lack loyalty. They lack the ability to have an attitude to be committed. And they start to see those cracks in all other areas of their life. Their businesses, there's a crack. Additional relationships that come afterward, they're cracks because if they haven't fixed themselves. And they start making a meal. I mean, just the simple things like that. You start making a meal, you don't put the bread on your burger. I mean, they just cracks and just things that you taught yourself not to do, because the first person you were supposed to be loyal to was to yourself, not to make yourself look bad, because cheating never looks good. It's not a good look. It's not a good face for you. Cheating is just as ugly and negative as you get. So men, they make this vow because, like we said, all these emotions, but they just don't want to go through this path again. And they're afraid that if it happens once, it can happen again. But you know what? If it happens once, you can change that because you're always in control of your life. So the power of living is in your hands because you always have the right to choose. Choose better. Make better decisions the next time. Don't choose women that you've chosen before. Choose something that's different. You know what? Excuse me. Some people, some I'm gonna use an example for women because it makes more sense to people. But some women says, I don't want a short guy. Maybe you need a short guy. I mean, maybe you need a short guy because the last five tall guys, they cheated on you. All your boyfriends, including the one that you married last, they all cheated on you. You just have to step out and do something that's different than what you normally do. So that's the power that you have. You have the power to fortify yourself and to make yourself stronger and take advantage of that strength. Take advantage of this power because when you do, you just become more awesome than you already are. So, men, don't quit marriage. Quit the foolishness in marriage. Do your part. Stand up. And women, the same with you. There's some women who say, you know what, I'm not ever getting married. You know what? You don't have to die alone. And maybe you won't. Maybe you'll die with your brothers and sisters, your uncle, your aunt, your parents. Let's just not try not dying at all. But in the long run, marriage is a beautiful arrangement. When you have two people that are two good forgivers, that are two good builders, that are two people that enjoy spending time and making sacrifices, two good sacrificers. You have these two people who are wrapped up. These are the qualities and traits you want to look for in a mate. People who just want peace, two good peacemakers. Come on, you've got people like that. You can have the best life ever. Come on, you got two brains, two positive brains. They may be on different spectrums, but they can come together and make really good decisions. You've got older people in age generational gaps and younger people coming together in relationships, just bring their differences together, but yet they got all these other components that make relationships work, and they're soaring. They're soaring. And sometimes it's unfortunate the only thing that some people have in common in relationships is their age. So when we talk about age gap relationships, we talk about a whole bunch of things. But we hope that this little talk, this little guiding of information has been helpful to you. Especially men, don't give up on marriage. It's a beautiful arrangement. Women, don't give up on marriage. It's a beautiful arrangement. Just make better choices. Replay this video, watch it over. It's some really nice points that we came up with, that we were sharing with you, that we did research to make this a really good video. Share it with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button to help our channel grow. We've got other great information just like this and even better that we love to share. So this has been a fun ride. And as always, be back here tomorrow at 7:30 a.m. Don't miss this subject. Having kids with a man twice your age. Age gap love is real, folks. It's real. You might say twice your age. Yeah, so if you're 25 and he's 75, he's twice your age. Having children with him, good idea, bad idea? I don't know. We'll figure it out tomorrow. We'll talk about it. Again, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We thank you for joining us today. This has been enjoyable. This has been another Love is Not Judgmental YouTube Live with Marvin Kane. I'm your host, and we'll see you tomorrow morning at 7:30 for another incredible discussion.